Welcome. I'd like to welcome everybody that is viewing online right now. This is the first for Oakdale. We're meeting here live. Folks can come and watch, but we're also going to start videotaping all of our board meetings. So I think that adds an extra element, and we can have better outreach. People can see what's going on at the Board of Education level for Oakdale. So it's something that we're going to continue to do even after we get through our episode here. I think it's going to be good for our school. With that said, I'd like to welcome everybody. And since this is the first time, I might say we may have some technical difficulties as we go through this for the first time. So please bear with us. We're going to do our best. We're going to move on to our agenda item number 3, and that is to discuss and consider and accept the resignation of Evan Limley from seat 1 effective today. Evan's has submitted his resignation, and we are grateful for his services. And before he does do that, we're gonna present him with a certificate of appreciation. So, on behalf of the Board of Education, this reads, presented to Evan Limley for your selfless service as a Board of Education member for Oakdale Public School District 29. Your hard work, your counsel, and your leadership during your term as an elected office holder have left an indelible impact on the educational experience and environment for the students, staff, and community of Oakdale. Thank you. Robert T. Corbin, President, Oakdale Board of Education. I'm not going to shake your hand. Really appreciate that. We appreciate everything that you've done and everything you've offered over your term. I can't tell everybody and convey to Dr. Pierce and Jerome and everybody here just how much you've meant to me and what you've done and what you've done for the district in educating our students. Your perspective from higher education has translated down to the secondary level, and I think it's made us a stronger school because of it. I hate to see you leave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jerome, anything?
No, I'll just add that your involvement in selection of Dr. Pierce and your leadership to that process in particular was absolutely exemplary. I don't think we would be where we are without your participation in that. And it meant the world to Oakdale going forward, and I think the evidence is sitting on the front row right there.
Thank you very much. Thank you. The most important thing you did. Thank you very much.
So,
Mr. President, point of order, if I may.
yes, sir.
It seems that since we're recording this, and we're certainly in uncharted territory,
Yes.
and for posterity, maybe we could characterize what is happening at this point in history, such that at some point 50 years from now, when someone is watching this first recording, they will have some context on what is happening in the world.
Well, I'm going to turn that to you because no one can explain what's happening in the world better than Secretary of Health, State of Oklahoma.
Perhaps I'll do that very briefly.
Okay, thank you.
So families who are watching, maybe students in the future, we sit here on the 14th of April in 2020 in the middle of the first global pandemic to hit the United States in about a century. Regrettably, as of today, we have about 2,000 people who have tested positive in the state for a novel coronavirus that we call COVID-19. Also, regrettably, we've had just over 100 deaths in our state, 108 as of noon today. But we sit here distant, one from another, and there are a couple of folks also in the seats here, and we're observing social distancing, which helps to stem the transmission of this virus. If you're watching at home, it's my obligation to encourage you to continue to do that, even though you're tired of it, and even though you're stir crazy from the better part of a semester spent locked behind the doors with your family. This public service announcement is to encourage you to continue doing that. We believe a surge in our state will come sometime in the next 7 to 10 days, and it's incumbent on all of us to continue to practice both this social distancing and ardent personal hygiene as we make our way through this. Then we'll get through this and get on about our business in the summer. But for right now, the context is important, I think, for folks to know. We appreciate what you've done at Oakdale. We appreciate Oakdale's leadership in dealing with this unprecedented crisis. I would say our response as a school has also been unprecedented and will be stronger for it.
Thank you, Jerome. So with that, do I have a motion to accept Evan Lindley's resignation from seat 1?
So moved with regrets.
Suppose I can second. Last year, for the last.
Yeah. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Evan. So with that, because of this unprecedented epidemic, it's put us in a position, because elections have been pushed back, we have to, we are forced to seat our board member-elect Erin Halsey. She wouldn't be seated until our board meeting in July. So our workaround for that is that we're going to appoint her now to finish out Evan's term for the next 2 months, and then after the June 30th elections are certified, our first board meeting in July, Erin will probably be the first in history of Oakdale Board of Education to be sworn in twice within 60 days. So that's what we're going to do. So with that, may I have Erin? You want to come up here and stand on this side of the table, and we'll administer this oath, and we'll make it official, and we can get started. So yeah, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Erin Halsey,
I, Erin Halsey,
hereby declare under oath
hereby declare under oath
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of school board member
that I will perform the duties of
of the
the
school board member of Oakdale School District
of Oakdale School District
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
all of the duties pertaining
all of the duties pertaining
to said office
to said office
and obey the Constitution
and obey the Constitution
and the laws of the United States and Oklahoma.
and the laws of the United States and Oklahoma.
Congratulations. Welcome to the Oakdale Board of Education. You know, that'll get easier the second time.
Right.
And then you'll sign here and date. All right, well, welcome to the board. We're grateful to have you. And, you know, I will also say that, hop on Jerome's comments, how crucial Evan was to the selection of Dr. Pierce. Erin, you performed that role as a past president of the foundation. So you gave us incredible insight from that perspective. And now you're going to be able to parlay that insight and build upon that relationship and that process with Dr. Pierce as we go forward. So I think it's great to have you on board officially now. So welcome. Okay. We have all that admin set aside, so we're going to go right to public comment. Do we have any public comment? No, we don't have any public comment. So we'll go to the consent agenda number 6. And with that, do we have any questions on our consent agenda items?
None.
None? None, okay. Then I'd ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay.
All in favor?
I'm still learning.
That's okay, that's fine. An aye, okay, great. That moves us to 6.3. You know what, Steve? I fouled up.
Okay, you approved it, so if you'd like me to discuss it.
I mean, did you, is there any important pieces that we need to be aware of?
We're certainly under collecting a little bit, probably to the tune of about 150,000. I think we'll continue to under collect, obviously, with child nutrition services not operating. We lose money on child nutrition anyway, so it's not like that's going to be a huge loss to not have the revenue, won't have the expense either. But we do have cash balances in the general fund, $2,217,558. That compares to $2,407,000 this time last year. The building fund, we have a little over 200,000 compared to 178,329 last year on page 3. You have that report in front of you. If not, I have a copy. And we still have 692,000 in the bond funds and 3.4 million in the sinking fund. For a cash balance of 6,521,944, that compares to almost 9 million this time last year, but we had significantly more in the bond funds at this time last year. That's really all. If you move back to page 5, it's the expenditure comparisons for the last 3 fiscal years. And you can see on the right side, under FY20, our payroll expenditures for the month were a little bit higher than this time last year. And also our non-payroll expenses were about twice as high. I can't really attribute that to anything specific except for maybe timing on child nutrition expenditures at the beginning of the month last month. But overall, if you look at the comparisons for non-payroll expenditures from this year to last year, we're still trending about $28,000 less. So we're certainly in good shape there. The next page is just the kind of a working budget that we have, and it originally was just created to kind of develop something by object code to show where we're spending funds and also help you to project the carryover. And so right now, depending upon collections, I'm still in the 850, 900 range, but I'll have a much better idea when we get through the end of this month. I anticipate that some people may be held back on paying their taxes in light of the current situation. I think those will flow through this month, and we'll be back probably in good shape. Any other questions on any of this?
I don't have any questions.
None here.
Okay. So we're going to move on to agenda item 7, business, and we'll go to the superintendent's report. Dr. Pierce.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
A couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention. One, obviously, we'll talk about a little bit in the next portion with the principal's reports. They're not here, but they did make a little slideshow with some things about our distance learning plan. All the feedback that I have received from parents and teachers is it's going real well as can be expected. I'll put it that way. The teachers have worked so hard and been so diligent to maintain connections as well as maintain curriculum flow and learning. And I think the parents have been on board with that too. It's going to be a few more weeks to hang in there and to stay tough. But I think that we're beginning a list of takeaways. I told staff the other day that we should not waste any good crisis. Churchill was attributed to that, but it really wasn't Churchill. But we're starting to have a list of things that we think that we can learn from this experience so that we can capture those and begin to implement those maybe even to next year when things are hopefully back to normal. So the feedback has been good. The new normal won't be normal, I don't think, going forward. We've been pulled and stretched in some ways with technology and some things that I think have been good for us as well. So we'll flex our muscles a little bit with that, and I think that'll be positive moving forward. I also attached for you to review the SDE waivers and assurances document that I filled out and submitted to the state so they would approve our distance learning plan. It was very benign. It was just a matter of agreeing to a multitude of things that we would normally probably agree to for the most part anyway, but they're in there if you have any questions. And then there's also an attachment for the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. It was just an FAQ created by the School Boards Association. It offers some additional protection to our employees as well. So should they have a son or a daughter or a relative that they're having to care for if they were ill, provides them with some extra assurance about being employed and having sick leave protection as well. We are doing well, I think, with our Wi-Fi coverage across the district. We've had a few pockets where we knew that there was weak signals. Those folks have reached out to us, and Mike France has been very good about going out to work with some internet providers to go out to those areas to make sure that they are working, even physically going himself to see if he can log on right there too. And sometimes it hasn't worked. So he's been back in contact with them to make sure that our families do have the right access and accessibility that they require. As you know, tomorrow we begin serving free lunch at Oakdale, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I think that will be very valuable to many of our families. And I think even some of our other families that normally would not participate in a program like that might find it valuable as well. And so we're looking forward to see how that works for them. And if we have a high participation, we have the ability to expand the waiver that we received so that we could do breakfast, or we could do breakfast and lunch, or we could add more days. There's healthy snack items. We're approved through, I believe, May, the end of May, but we can then reapply and do a summer feeding program as well if we needed to do that. But we had not submitted that yet. We wanted to see how this went. We wanted to start small, walk first before we run. And so we didn't want to start something and have to pull back in. We wanted to start and see the response. So that starts tomorrow. It's a grab and go. We have 2 serving locations, one here at the school in the parking lot and one at on the service road on I-35. So that we have a bus driver that will be over there at before the time starts for this group over here. The bus will go and they will begin delivering grab and go sack lunches over there. Families can pick up 2 days worth of meals at a time. One of the other changes in the waiver is that families do not have to have their children present with them in the car. They can just say, I have 3 kids, and they can get up to 6 lunches to take home, and then they come back then the following meal serving day. We still are continuing with the Oakdale food pantry items. We still have some things there that we assisted some families with, and we have some volunteers that are still delivering food items to some families that we know that are in need, so that continues as well. Pre-K enrollment happened, and we are full at pre-K. We have a waiting list. Our morning section filled. Our afternoon section is nearly full, and there is a waiting list for morning, which some of those folks I would anticipate may switch to afternoon if there's space available, but they preferred morning. But that's been good. The other thing happening right now is that I have a series of 3 letters that I've been sending out. The first letter is to all of our teachers that are on temporary contracts, thanking them for their service, that their temporary contract does technically expire on the last day of their contract. However, if they wish to remain employed or to continue service at Oakdale, to see their principal so that their principal could recommend them. And next month, I hope to have a list for you of all of those names, who is returning, and present that to you for your vote. Another letter that I also circulated was to our support personnel so that they have reassurance based on the governor's recent orders that they can continue being paid, and that we are surveying their interest on returning as well. So we're gathering that. It was due today. Phyllis is working remotely. I don't know. I think she has most of those, but we'll check that tomorrow. The last letter that I'm circulating soon, hasn't gone out yet, is to all of our teachers, certified teachers and staff that are on recurring contracts. Just asking them about their intent to return, and so that we can then submit a letter to them, asking them to commit to us, and that we commit to the intent is to hire them for next school year. So that we also realize that sometimes school districts start with the teacher shortage and things like that. They begin hiring and getting people locked into contracts. This isn't a contract, however, it is a statement saying that they wish to be employed with us and that we have reasonable assurance that that would happen. So that way we can kind of know what our staffing needs are for next year. And with that, I'll conclude my report.
I just want to tell the board, and Dr. Pierce, I want you to hear this. For a superintendent to begin a new job with the scenarios and circumstances that he has found himself to be in probably the first, 30 days of employment. And my role as Board of Education president and the relationship and our working relationship and how that has proceeded is incredible. For someone not to have been part of Oakdale, to come in green, to face what we're facing, establish everything that needed to be established. It's like I've known Joe Pierce my whole life, and I've known Joe Pierce since, December 7th? The day that did not live in infamy for Oakdale Public Schools. So I just, the transition has been so easy, and that is a credit to your leadership. It's a credit to your personality. It's a credit to how you are as a man.
Thank you.
And I just want you to know that I would not expect it to be so smooth with 90% of folks that are in this business. And you are in that, you're definitely in the top 10. I'd argue higher than that.
Thank you.
So thank you for everything that you've done and the manner in which you've done it, because it's been an ease. And it's just been very enlightening. And I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
He hadn't known any different. He thinks this is how it always is.
Yeah.
Always in a pandemic.
I don't know what I don't know.
Yeah.
Child of
You're here, Joe.
Thank you.
But and I gotta tell you, I love this camera because it may allow more people to hear exactly what we're experiencing that we typically otherwise wouldn't be able to articulate. Unless it was just, 20 or 30 people or 10 up here in the audience. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So operations, elementary, middle school. Are we just gonna turn to here and watch the video? Okay.
Andy?
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay.
I can't hear very good, so.
I won't tell them you were asleep.
Thank you.
This is a slideshow prepared by Jenna and Jill to let us know what's going on with our distance learning. And it has, there's a video embedded here that some students created, photos, things that students have turned in, that creative projects that they've been working on, so forth. See if we can, I'll kind of hit the highlights as we go through since they are not here. So every morning at 8:45 on our Instagram account, didn't know if you know we have an Instagram account. We do now. And it is where we do our morning announcements. It's a sense of continuity, I believe, for our students. There's a number of people that join. It's not overwhelming amount of folks. However, it does give some kids some sense of normalcy, as well as being able to connect with their principal and have some of the common things that they would normally hear every day at school if they were here. Andy? For elementary school, here are some things that Jenna has collected about things that teachers have said about the past couple of weeks. I'm not going to read those to you. You can kind of skim through those. I have to give an extreme amount of kudos to our principals who have embraced this and have diligently communicated with their staffs effectively and with care as well. I'm very, very pleased with those. So here's some interesting things some of our teachers put together. They had some messages for their students. You've seen the top photo. And it looks like in the bottom, that's probably a class meeting, just a snapshot of what that looks like when the kids get connected. And our teachers really have gone above and beyond to make their students feel supported socially, emotionally, and cared for. The curriculum for elementary, I've been so pleased with this because it is plenty of information. And if we do not expect parents to be home school educators by any means, but we want learning to continue. So I think this plan offers a breadth of activities and experiences that students can continue in learning. And the elementary teachers have done a good job of prioritizing what those skills are. And then if the essentials are met, then they have choice boards so that there are extension, application, enrichment type activities for those students that wish to do those as well. We've also suggested that for some students that may be accelerated, if they're a second grader, we'll click on the third grade choice board and start doing some third grade work. So it's an interesting way of differentiating for our students, but I'm very pleased with that level of work as well. This is a parent comment, I believe.
Interesting background on the pre-K here.
Yes, I thought that was interesting. It wasn't like
The Secretary of Health would really appreciate that.
Yes.
I got visual fatigue.
Okay, Andy. So for middle school, it looks like there's a link. I don't know that we need to go there, Andy. I think these are all parents. They probably have seen the Google site. What we did was do a real quick, we built a Google site. Thank you, Andy Boatman, for taking care of that for us. He's running the slides, but he was the brains behind making this all happen. So it's just a Google site, a link that's embedded to our main website that gives the teachers immediate ways to be able to access and change and add and delete and correct, things like that on the dime through our Google Classroom format. So praise for teachers. They are hooked up with Zoom twice a week. The Zoom meetings are optional. There's a time for them to be available for parents and teachers. For parents and students to be able to ask questions and get immediate results and feedback. One of the things when we began this process was the question, well, do we grade activities? What kind of grades do we give? How do we assess these things? And my direction to the team was I was more concerned about feedback than I was grades. That I believe if a teacher wants something to be completed, they owe feedback to that child on their level of achievement or suggested improvements, whatever that may be. So they are offering feedback. Some are more traditional grades, yes, and some are just more comments or checklists and things like that. Utilizing technology. Some of these things I've never even heard of until we started getting, I knew Study Island, I knew IXL, but some of these other things, man, we pulled stuff out of the woodwork. So we have lots of things and resources for kids and students to do, all free to us. Okay, big things are happening. This is the link that we wanted you to see what some of our kiddos are doing.
Little C, like B. Sucks in the morning with my brain learning. With active coming from my head burning. Yeah. In these situations, we're constantly conscious while I wait to the practice dawn. Yeah. And don't get me started with tough. With English, no interaction, elaboration. Yeah. I bet Dr. Ford would say a little time maybe
El Rap S Mine Quago.
Hope talk here about blah blah have puppies for the b-balls you don't want to lose. Yeah. with another reputable welcome. Thank you.
So, I was very impressed, and I was excited to think that, I mean, just look at the vocabulary in that. The academic vocabulary was rich there, and in such a creative means that this is an opportunity, probably minus coronavirus, they wouldn't have been able to do maybe, or wouldn't have had to do it. They had the time and the willpower to do that. We also have a book club going on. So Mrs. Jones has been doing that, but now she's doing it virtually. Some examples, there are some, I don't know what, it's for a challenge for Science Olympiad with Pringles. The best I could have done was maybe make the duck bill out of those. I don't know that I could have done, but that's impressive.
Never grows old.
Still doing some penmanship in the digital world, she says. Now, this may be a question you would receive. Here's the nitty gritty on grading. We left Teacher E's open for fourth quarter. Third quarter ended right before break, spring break. So that we have a third quarter grade, but we left Teacher E's open so that teachers could input feedback, assessments, grades, whatever they put into that. However, with the caveat that no student's grade could be less than their end of third quarter grade. It could improve as so the fourth quarter grades will be averaged, and then they're combined with the third quarter grade, I understand, and it would not be less than the third quarter grade. So it's kind of hold harmless. You can't do worse, but you could do better. Some of the parents, I was on a Zoom meeting the other night with some parents, and they said, how do I motivate my child? They've got decent grades, great grades. Why do they need to do this? And I said, well, I explained this, but I said, really, it's about grades can often mask learning, and this is about learning. This isn't about grades. We've already got our grades in for the year, but we want to continue learning and be ready for next year. So hopefully that will, it makes sense to me, but I don't know if I'm 14, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But hopefully that would help a little bit as well. Some other praise from parents. A parent of 4, I've never heard of this word, Oakdalians.
Mm-hmm. You are one.
Yes. And Mrs. Foster and Mrs. Wilhoit also have weekly Zoom meetings with parents, 5 o'clock on Fridays, so that they can, if you want to join in on that. I joined it one last Friday for grins and giggles, and it was about 50 or so parents were there to ask questions and get assistance. Okay, Andy, then the last thing. A few takeaways that I thought of. Andy, can you hit click? There we go. Some things I've noticed in the last 7 to 10 days. Aligned communication and the outlets have become more streamlined. It's not perfect yet. We still need to fine tune that, but I believe that we're aligned better with that. Our team collaboration has increased and it's consistent. I've been pleased with the curriculum differentiation that I've seen, which you saw some of it tonight, the choices, the extension and enrichment activities. Technology skills have been stretched for staff and students, I believe.
I would add parents to that.
I'm sorry, what?
I would add parents to that too.
Yes, yes. Parents' technology skills have also probably been stretched. We also have a greater degree of understanding of our technology needs moving forward, as well as some opportunities to capture for next year. It's given us some time also with me, with some of the administrators to work on some leadership development. We've also learned we've added some additional internet safeguards in place. I have personally made phone calls to, I think, 3 or 4 parents, asking them to have conversations with their children and about places they're visiting on the internet at times that they may not even know that was happening. And then we're continuing with our cleaning routines and our staffing. We're reviewing that as well as we go into summertime. And then just the parent support, which is always strong. They appreciate our teachers, but it's even been very evident, very, very evident. They really do appreciate all teachers do. So that's the last slide of that.
Okay, thank you.
love that.
Yeah.
With my comments about Dr. Pierce, if Mrs. Wilhoit and Mrs. Foster were here,
Think they
Oh.
might, Ms. Wilhoit might be there, maybe Ms. Foster was.
well, I want to pass along a comment as a parent and board member. The distance learning plan that they came up with for both the elementary and middle school level, to me is incredible. It's very simplistic. It's easy to follow, comprehensive. I think after the first few days, I mean, parents and families were able to get into their routine.
Right.
It's not a school routine, it's their routine.
Right.
That's the difference in this whole thing, but whatever you all did in about 6 or 7 work days to come up with the simplicity of the curriculum, being able to follow and breaking it down by day and breaking it down by assignment, it was incredible. I just think they've done a tremendous job in putting that together for us and for our kids. And with that, I would love to challenge both those principals to think about the future, about how that can translate into something more. It may be something permanent, to be able to utilize things that if a kid can't take PE or a certain special because we don't have the room, so, hey, the opportunities that this thing is opening up for Oakdale are huge, and it's making me less scared to think about those opportunities because of that. And I think parents are going to feel the same. They're going to have the same feelings, I think, about what we could actually do implementing fixed facility education. And I won't call it distance learning after this crisis is over, but a different kind of educational experience for our students here. I mean, I can see it. I can start to see it.
Right.
And you need to challenge them to deliver if we need that. Great job. Okay, great reports. We'll move on to 7.2, and that is the discussion and scheduling board work sessions for our long-term vision and strategy planning, including important future bond issues. I added the important part because it's something that we are going to need to get together as a board team with Dr. Pierce and everyone that is involved in that to really talk about what's next, because we need to be thinking about what's next, and then we need to be thinking about what's next. We'll need some help with that, but I think we need to get together as a group first and sort of just brainstorm some ideas before we, elicit others to say, okay, well, what do you think? Make a plan. I think we need a strong plan. So Dr. Pierce and I have talked a little bit about what that might look like. And so we need to talk to the board about what you think it might look like so that we can come together and say, hey, let's get together. We can plan a few special meetings. We can plan a few executive sessions, and we can kind of talk about those things and brainstorm. So what are your thoughts on that?
I totally agree. I'd love to hear where everybody stands
Sure.
on what that looks like. Are we going to hire someone from OSSBA to come and help us? I mean, what does that look like? And that's going to be very helpful.
What are your thoughts on time and when and what is the best time to do it? Because those are the things that we're going to have to set down in stone. What I don't want to get lost in the shuffle is there are some really short-term things that we could be doing right now. There's some near-term planning things that we could be doing, a few months down the road. And then there's some long-term things that I think encompass a huge strategic plan that I think we're all kind of sort of it's at the tip of our pencils of really wanting to do. But talking about our short-term goals, what does that look like as far as scheduling? Being it's April right now.
I'm flexible, so I think
I'll be flexible.
Is it something that we want to set down before our next board meeting? Or do we want to push it until maybe after May 14th and where we get together at that point and take a look? I mean, what are the risks of that? Dr. Pierce and I talked about our next bond and what that may look like as far as infrastructure, what we need to finish as far as Loop Road and, our fire suppression system, and how does that affect a couple other secondary and tertiary things when that happens. Our next, because of the election cycle, our next bond could be on the June 30th primary, but we talked and we just feel that would be way too soon to try to come up and here's what we want to do, and then try to be able to articulate that to the community and the taxpayers, say, hey, this is what we think should be done next as a school.
I also think there's just a general, we're starting to be in a general sense of economic uncertainty.
Yes.
That I think is right around our beginning of a bad time for holding the community for dollars. I think we should, even if we could, I think we should hold off.
Okay. And we are going to be able to, we're going to be great to do that. We're in such a wonderful position here in Oakdale as far as what our bonding capacity is going to be, especially after July 1st. It's going to be tremendous because we have a huge payment we're going to make. And it may be good for us to spend the summer talking about what's next and coming up with that plan, and being able to come back into the fall and say, here is what we've sort of done through as sort of a balanced approach to get where we think we need to be.
If we have the time to wait and do that after May 14th, I think that's great.
Okay, does that sound?
It does, and I think, I don't know about everyone else, but I suspect most of our summer plans are a bit disrupted.
Sure.
I'll have a lot more flexibility in
Right.
the May 14th meeting, but we could maybe at the May 14th meeting set out a time and maybe capture even a couple of sessions.
Okay. At that meeting, here's what I'll do. I will kind of put together maybe a tentative sort of working group planning sessions that we can have prepared and get some dates and just recommended dates. And then we can just go down to, yeah, that works. No, that doesn't work. Hey, this day works. And then we can get it on the calendar and say, hey, this time, place, and date. This is what we're going to do. That's
And those will those take the form of executive session?
I think they're going to take the form of maybe some special sessions in conjunction with executive sessions. I need to make sure that our language is right about what we're doing, because it's going to be twofold. It's also going to be a superintendent sort of our opportunity to go through our evaluation of him, because we haven't started that yet. So encompassing that whole evaluation of the new superintendent and what goals we're going to give that superintendent to carry out for the district, those will be under the executive session auspice, and I think that's how we'll kind of work through that. When we bring in, I see us bringing in some architects and some of our planners to come in and talk to us, and I think on those sessions, there'll be more special sessions, probably during the day when they can come in and speak to us and just kind of give us a general aspect, or maybe give us a view of what that may look like, because I think we're going to have those specific questions that we'll want to see what we're going to do before we actually say, hey, this is what we want to do. Does that make sense, Dr. Pierce, to you?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll plan on that, get some days out. I mean, I literally think it's probably 3 to 5, kind of maybe meetings over the next 4 months. And that way when we come back in September, August, we can have a real solid plan. And hopefully we're ginned up back to somewhat of a normal schedule, and we can start pushing that plan out. Good? Awesome. Okay, good. Okay, we'll go to 7.3, and that's a discussion of possible action to rehire administrators effective July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021, and that's Mr. Franz, Mrs. Foster, and Mrs. Blake. Dr. Pierce, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I would recommend them to be rehired.
Okay. Do y'all have any questions, any discussion?
Is Director of Operations, I'm enthusiastically supportive of these three, but from a technical standpoint, Director of Operations, is that a new title, or is that one that has been occupying, or?
It was one that I believe we discussed last month. I don't think you were maybe at that meeting.
That would be why.
I did give that the job description, org chart, and it's a new title. It's many of the same responsibilities being carried out. It just defines that lane a little bit more and a need for the district.
Sounds good.
Any questions? No? Jerome, any other questions?
No.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve those, to rehire those administrators?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
You only did twice. Yeah.
No, well, like we've been doing this for
We can
years.
always switch. Anytime you want to. First.
Okay, we're going to move on to 7.4, and that is consideration, discussion, and possible action to amend the 2019-20 school calendar to end the year date to May 15th, which is a different end date than what was originally submitted. I don't think there's anything to add.
There's really nothing. We need a vote of something documented here because we do have to submit that to the state declaring when our last day of school is, et cetera. And it is different than what was previously approved, so
Okay.
it's just a formality.
So a motion to approve that change?
Motion to approve the new date.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the auditor on the phone.
Okay.
Actually, Amy's in, but she's a representative of Jerry Putnam.
Okay.
She's waiting.
I have it.
Here, everybody can hear.
This Amy.
Hi, Amy, we're ready to go here. It's your turn, you're on stage.
Okay. The audit report is in the same format as it was last year. We say that the financial statements are fairly presented with the basis of accounting, which is the regulatory basis, and that's what the State Department of Ed says we have to use. You have three summaries in the front, and then you have the detailed schedules behind that knows, you don't know how we came up with those numbers. You are only required to have two reports. You didn't have to have the third report because you didn't spend $750,000 in federal dollars. And then if you look at on the executive summary, that's basically a quick snapshot of the audit, those fund balances, remember those were at June 30. And your general fund had $1,221,526, which was out of about $150,000 from the year before, June 30. The building fund had $95,000, and that was up $37,000 the year before. Bond fund had $2,700,000, now it's down $1,900,000. Bond funds are ones that go way up one year, but then they'll usually go down the next year. It all depends on when you receive the money. The sinking fund had $123,000, which was up $33,000, so that's good. That's showing that you're collecting the taxes needed to pay your bond debt. And the activity fund had $56,000, which was up $11,000. At June 30th, you had $8,295,000 in bonds outstanding, and with that, you have $355,213 in interest outstanding. You had in July of 18, you had over $42,000 that came in from prior year federal services, and this year you were able to collect everything before the end of June 6th. You got everything, all the reports in before, and was able to get them paid before June 30th. Then if you look at the back page, this is where we have the comments. You'll see in the first section that says review customers, that would be the general and building fund, the bond fund. You have one invoice date, it was before the PO date, and an activity fund, you have one invoice date
I mean, I don't have any I personally don't have any questions for the auditor.
That's a good audit.
Okay, anything else, Amy?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you for, speaking with us tonight.
All right, thank you so much.
You bet, bye-bye. I don't have anything, we talked about this last year, and this, Jerome's gonna go, well, yeah, right, yeah, which I'm probably stealing his thunder, but we talked about a real property audit, and Putnam and Associates, they do not do that. But we've got a lot of real property laying around the district, and before we can get rid of it, we have to know what we have. Our thought process on that was, one, to help maybe streamline that, clean that up a little bit, but also to allow the new superintendent to understand, hey, just what's here on site. And before we can get rid of anything, it's gotta be declared excess. And we've got an expert of many talents down there that
Junk.
Yeah, that can help us get rid of junk, right? And we've got a lot of that. So we've got to figure out a way to put that on your task list and say, hey, Dr. Pierce, along with educating our students, there's a business aspect to
Take the
this.
trash out.
Yeah, let's think, and really, we're going to have to do that. We've got an idea about what's coming for the next bond and the road and all that. There is a ton of stuff up there that has to be moved. We need to get ahead of that. I mean, I even foresee, some buildings that go away maybe, we may consider. And there's a ton of stuff in those buildings that we don't need, that we'll need to get rid of before. And I don't want that to hinder a plan that the board determines the direction we want to go. Oh, but wait, we need to get rid of this stuff. Oh, well, we have to do an audit, and then we have to, let's take care of that now while we have the opportunity. I think we need to do that. You agree?
Completely.
Aaron, what do you think about that?
Great.
All right, good, okay. Anything to add?
No, I would just say that we charge Dr. Pierce with really coming up with even the audit process for doing that, and it's not rocket science.
Right.
You just kind of take the soup and nuts, and we'll follow your lead on the recommendation.
Okay. Any other questions concerning the audit? I know that's sort of off the line of this audit, but it has to do with auditing. It's just an internal auditing. And this is our external requirement for the state. So with that said, do I have a motion to approve our audit for the year in 2019?
Motion to approve the audit.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, is there anything else?
I think there's one other agenda item. The letter of engagement, is that on?
Did I miss?
That's it. It's basically, I did some research on that. I moved the contract to audit up under our agreements
Oh, okay, I
for
didn't
the
catch
next year. And so, yes, that is correct.
it. My mistake, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments before we adjourn? Okay,
None here.
motion, good, motion to adjourn. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, before you guys get up out of your seats.
We stand adjourned.
So, let me see.